by just hearing from the three of us, you can see the extent of our operations. One of the main comments we get when we give a tour of the shelter from people that have been supporting us for a while is they had no idea how much work goes into each animal, and also how big the facility is, and actually how many paid staff we have. We actually have a lot of volunteers here today, which is great to see. But on a staffing perspective, we have 18 functional areas across the shelter that we have to cover. Now that starts from just basic front desk. We have 6 different businesses. We have that help us pay for things. We have the whole sheltering staff that do the day-to-day care, plus team leads and managers that help supervise that, and volunteers as well. Then you have the entire vet clinic, which is both vets and nurses, and sometimes volunteers in there as well. And then on top of that, you have your inspectorate, which Paul just told you about. And then you have all your support services to do things like fundraise, pay payroll, do the accounting work, all that takes people. And you can't automate the care of animals either, obviously. So for us, that's about 49 FTE right now. I think we have 67 people on payroll, which includes all the casual staff that look after animals, because we have 7 days a week coverage. Even on holidays that everybody else gets, we get to pay double time and a half. So that is a bit of a challenge, and we've talked about a lot of the numbers that go into it. The reality is, can you even see this, by the way? It's kind of light in colors. So I told you 3 years ago when I started, we were actually spending pretty much all the money in sheltering and a tiny bit in enforcement. I'd say in the last year or so, we've put a little bit more money in prevention. Sheltering remains the same. Enforcement's gone up. And in fact, sheltering's probably gone up a little bit because we've had to hire additional people, because the more animals that the inspectors bring in with higher needs, we've had to hire additional, like behavioral trainers as an example, to help them prepare for rehoming. Otherwise, we'd be putting down a lot more animals. So we don't want to do that. So we've hired more people to assist with that, including a dedicated person just to look after animals that are in long-term holding positions. Like, we have a couple of dogs that have been with us for over a year now, as an example. Ideally, we know that if we continue to put money here, that this should go down, and so should this over time. And this also, what that means is there's less animals going into the shelter, which is ultimately the goal to begin with. But if the hard thing right now is we got to pay for everything. So to invest in here, like we drop anything here, the animals die, which is always why that's where the money's been spent, right? To invest in enforcement requires people like general counsel and inspectors. That's not cheap. That's a very qualified skill, right? But to do prevention, most people say it's a nice to have. But I just told you, if we didn't do the cat desexing program, we'd have to spend more money here. If we didn't do more prevention, we'd have to do more enforcement, because there'd be more and more people doing the wrong thing. So here's our challenge. How do we continue to invest in prevention when the other costs have not gone down yet? That's our greatest challenge right now. And what's also happening remarkably is that we are actually dependent on the revenue of kittens and adoptions. And as the number of kittens go down, the less money we're bringing into the shelter. And we knew that this was going to happen. But how do we fill that void? So we are trying to right now set us up for the future of an organization that is truly preventing cruelty to animals, which is what we were set up to do. But the only way we can do that is by people like yourself making a decision about what they want to leave in their own legacy. And if you think that this is something you want to support, then I ask you that question right now. And the survey's in front of you. If you haven't had a chance to fill out, there is one question on there that I'm more interested in than anything. And that is, what legacy do you want to leave behind to help animals here in the ACT? Because everything that we raise here locally goes back to animals in the ACT. And we can't do it without help. because this is not going down yet. The cost is not going down. The revenue is going down, but the cost isn't going down. The only way to make a major impact in animal welfare in the ACT is by investing in prevention.
Is there any support from the ACT government at all, money-wise?
So right now with government, we get about 15% of our funding is from government. That's because we provide services on their behalf. The majority of that is because we're the pound for cats. And we do get some funding for the inspectorate as well. That maybe covers about half our cost. In reality, if we had it our way, we wouldn't be taking any money for the inspectorate. And the reason why is because it does make it harder when you have a government agency that is trying to run you like a government agency in that space. You have less freedom, it's harder to avoid a conflict of interest. Sometimes we get called to investigate them, which is very awkward. So that makes it difficult. In our minds, we prefer not to make any money off of the inspectorate from government, if we could afford to do so. The pound, well, that's a service they'd have to provide regardless. So we think they should pay us fairly, and right now, they're doing okay. But the rest of the money is coming from people like yourself. We get about 40% of our incomes from commercial services, including adoptions, and 45% or so is coming from fundraising and events. Barbara?
I just wanted to say with your fundraising events, I mean, Josh and Rhiannon and everybody else who's helping, I think over the past few years, I've seen the quality of the fundraising just improve out of sight. So hats off to the staff, because you don't have many staff down there working away.
Thank you, Barbara. Look, we're trying to do a better job, but obviously it costs money to run events. A lot of people think we make a lot of money off a Million Paws Walk. We don't actually do that because it costs so much to run it. You know, we actually make more money off a Cupcake Day.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
I'm involved with Pegasus Riding for Disabled, and in their newsletter what they have are a list of items that someone in the community might be able to raise that $300 or that $200 or whatever. So, you know, you can donate to the new clothesline for the big blankets or whatever, or you can put some money into a particular issue that needs to be solved. Do you have something like that at the RSPCA? Like, could you sort of provide money for one thing that you might need for $200 or $300? Is that sort of something that you do?
It's funny because we're actually updating that wish list right now. Rhiannon has just asked me if we can go ahead and do that. We do have specific needs like that, but we have 3.5 acres of space, and we're on a $5 million budget, so we're bigger than most charities from that perspective, not only from facility space, and some of our buildings have been there for 60 years, and they weren't built to be a shelter. So we've had to replace the roof for the vet clinic in the last couple of weeks. We've had to replace the air conditioning heating unit in our main reception area in the last couple of months. What else we've done? Like all these.
One in vet clinic as well.
Oh yeah, the air conditioning broke in the vet clinic. So it's just one thing after another. With the old facility like this, we can't even predict it when we need it. Last year we had to replace an X-ray machine, and we had a donor step up to help us pay for that. So we are fortunate at times. But the honest truth, the $200 things are nice, but it's the expensive stuff that's helpful. The roof was $12,000.
Yeah. No, I was just sort of thinking of someone who might want to give a little bit of money but doesn't have $12,000, but could solve an immediate problem in that area that they might come across as a volunteer or whatever every week.
We're just updating that wish list, and it might include things like, you know, we need cameras to take pictures of animals, and from time to time they break because there's so many animals, you know.
Thanks for the cattery.
Yeah, that's true. We've just redone most of the cattery now. There's still some work to be done. We're just painting vet clinic at the moment, just because we've actually done a really good job of keeping the number of animals down lately. So because of that, before kitten season, we've just had the staff keep them busy, and it needed to be done anyways. It's been cleaning the shelter out.
So the wish list will be on the website?
The wish list will be on the website. There's one now, but it's not up to date, I don't think. And there's always little things that we need that people don't realize. Even, I don't think is this our microphone? No, we have to replace our own microphone sometimes. So there's little things like that. Yes, carry on.
So you're saying the most valuable thing is unrestricted donations?
That's true. Yeah, that's really true, because then we can use it as we need to.
On a regular basis.
Regular donations for us is like the lifeblood, because you can count on them. You know, we've been actually investing in our regular givers more, because those are the ones that over time, that if we ever do a capital campaign for a new facility, the one-off donations will often drop. It's the regular givers that keep it going, because you still have day-to-day care even though you're trying to build a massive building. So the regular givers are ones that we're investing more in our relationships with them. The one-off donors, though, are amazing too, because the truth is we can't live without our donors. Whatever they look like, how much they give us, it doesn't really matter. Those people support us and they keep us going.
Give me a call and I'll do something regular.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. We'll get you before you leave. We're not going to lose out on this opportunity. We'll get you before you leave. Can I answer any other questions for you? Because the big thing is for you to understand the scale and the depth and breadth of work that we do. Most people have no idea how far it goes and how many people it takes to do that. No?
Is there any way that we could do more affiliate stuff with other animal organisations in the ACT? So, for example, Canberra Cat Vet does a big evening once a year about cat issues, right? And it sends an invite out to all its supporters or people, vet people, cat owners. And they all come. Last time there was 250 people in a church hall, all learning about cat behaviour and cats. And they had some stalls where the cat enclosure people came, some cat food people came to talk about their things briefly. But you see, and I thought we were missing a trick at that point, because the RSPCA didn't come, and yet they probably would have welcomed the RSPCA there. Then you've got a captive audience of people that obviously like cats, but they're not likely to donate and things like that. So there's other sort of organisations that are running events that perhaps we could tag along.
Well, it's more if they invite us. We're kind of the big brother of most of the other organizations around town, so we kind of see ourselves as supporting them. If they want us to be a part of something, like I've often gone to an ARF calendar launch when invited. I go to Greyhound walks when invited. I've done Pets and Aging, Pets and Positive Aging. They invited me as a speaker for their event. I did that. I know that Jane's on a couple committees with some of these other groups, and if another animal welfare organization needs our support, like we work really closely with ACT Wildlife as an example, and we've given them a lot of our extra hot boxes and cages that we didn't need. So, and even Pegasus, like we donated, was it Pegasus? Or
Yeah, it was
it was Pegasus.
Yeah.
We gave you guys a bunch of harnesses and blankets we didn't need. So whenever we have extra food and stuff, we donate it to other dog rescue groups and get collars and leads. We've done a lot of that recently as well, even to the volunteers at the pound.
Kylie's helping out Paws in the Park.
Yeah, Paws, that's right, where we're helping with homelessness. Some of our vets are helping with the homelessness, and I'm going to their launch in a couple weeks, I think. Forget when that's.
Domestic violence.
Oh, yeah. So we're on the committee for domestic violence as well, because we help a lot of folks out when they have animals that might be in those situations. So we do a lot, more than people realize, but we wait to be invited. We don't feel like it's our place to impose. And, but if someone invites us, most of the time we say yes. And if it's not me, then it's one of the other staff members that can add some value. So, but we don't think it's our right to say, hey, can we go to that? It's more, if you'd like us to join, we're happy to present. Or sometimes just attend. Any other questions? We had asked now then, if you don't have any other questions, although we'll be around here, so if you'd like to talk to us one-on-one. Some of the people you've already met in the room, so you met Rhiannon, who's our fundraising officer, philanthropic officer. You met Josh, who's in charge of our fundraising and events. And helps with communications. Allison's on the marketing team as well. You obviously know Paul and Jane, and then we also have Ben from our events team over here. Did I miss anyone? But and obviously a lot of volunteers here that could probably answer other questions. But if you'd like to talk to any of us afterwards, we'd love to have that conversation. Carrie Ann, you're not going out the door yet. You're in our line of sight now. And just feel free to talk to each other and have another cup of coffee or tea. And yes, please fill in your surveys because we'd love to know more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.